Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake. I'm here with my co-hosts, Alex and Josh.
And today we are reviewing Project Hail Mary. I guess we should preface this review by saying this is a very well-renowned book, which I didn't know too much about, but apparently it is like one of those books where everyone just raves about. So going into this movie has something to live up to other than just be a good movie. And typically, when you have a film like this that's adapting something from a book per se, it can be reviewed pretty mixed to awful. And with that, I say Project Hail Mary, the movie, is currently at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, critically, and 96 audience. This is unprecedented, at least in recent years. We don't normally see something like this to be loved by both book people and by the common moviegoer. So with that, I'll leave it to Josh as the resident Ryan Gosling fan.
Is that so?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this movie had just the right combination of many things. One, you have a backing of, like you said, a popular book. You have just a popular star, Ryan Gosling, for the cast to get just kind of people to go just to give it a chance, as well as it being an actual kind of original movie and not just some generic sequel or just a remake, whatever. So this had just a nice trio, and it definitely landed pretty well. I do think it's been a bit funny of the reactions that people have given this movie. I think it maybe is the first movie a lot of people have watched maybe in a year or a while, because everyone's like, man, I haven't seen a whole theater go quiet for so many scenes. I'm like, that happens a lot, you just don't really go out and watch movies, I guess. But no, it was fun. I remember when we first saw this trailer that I thought the trailer showed too much, and that was with me not knowing anything about Project Hail Mary. But it definitely did not show too much. The trailers were just perfectly well done, and I went into this being pleasantly surprised. Had still no idea fully what the plot was going to be or what it's going to entail, and it was really a fun sci-fi film. I think the cast too was pretty minimal, so I think that maybe helped with the fact that this film was really pretty and there was no issues with the visuals, and it was able to tell its story with a long runtime too for a sci-fi movie that really isn't. I don't know what the budget is of this film. Speaking of that, I don't think it was anything crazy from what I looked at. I don't know if they can even confirm that yet, but it's not like it's a big time project. It never felt like it was supposed to be that way. And I think with having a smaller cast and just kind of a big star like Ryan Gosling, it really helped with that. So it's only too much to just say good stuff about this. I kind of will pass it to Alex's thoughts on this.
Well, just to kind of answer your whole budget thing, it's estimated to be at 200 million was the budget for the film itself. So it's, a pretty typical for a movie of this size. That's not like a Marvel
That's a
movie.
big budget. That's a big budget.
Like
200? That's big.
I don't. Now these days, I would say it's hard to judge it because it's been inflated so much. I would say that was a good sized budget. They're expecting it to at least make money. That's what I would say.
And from the looks of it, it has. Just off of
not
glance,
quite.
it's already crossed 300, right?
It's crossed 300, but if it had a $200 mil budget, with marketing is at least, they say, half of what that budget is, so it's probably right around breaking even right now. Yeah, no, 200 that's a big budget for a movie.
It's been the most successful original movie in a while, is what it's been said for how things have been going for movies.
Well, yeah,
that's what's crazy to say.
It had the second
barely
highest
past budget,
right? Yeah, but it had the second highest opening weekend of like an original. Oppenheimer beat it out last year. Oppenheimer had an insane run for an original IP. Its opening weekend was insane. It was like 70 million or something like that, I think, for Project Hail Mary, because the word of mouth and everything, like you said, was so well received. And like you said, I mean, I think this is definitely for a lot of people their first movie of this year, but for a lot of them, probably their first movie in quite a while that they felt the need to go out and see. And part of that is because you got the goat on cinematography. You know, the movie's going to look fantastic, so it's worth seeing in theaters. So that helps. But yeah, I think this movie definitely right now is just having a huge run because, like we said, the word of mouth of this is great from both fans of just sci-fi films in general, as well as the critics and the readers. So I think that's a massive reason why this movie is having such a great run so far.
Yeah, and it didn't like I saw the runtime. It's 2 hours and 36 minutes. It didn't feel like that. I mean, it felt maybe a little bit slow at the beginning, but that's because you're kind of discombobulated along with the character. You really don't know what the fuck's going on. And then like once the movie starts to get into a flow and we meet Rocky and that whole like dynamic starts to form, it just kind of breezes until like the very end. And to me, it just kind of flew by. Even with like, I had a shit ton of drink, and I was like, I need to pee so fucking bad, but there's like no point in this movie where I can just get up and leave, especially like towards that like end run of the film. So I was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm gonna have to check it out. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the same thing about Greg Fraser. He's just a fucking genius. This man just does not miss when it comes to like peak visuals. It's meant for the big screen, and you can tell. I mean, I've seen clips of people watching this in like the big IMAX ones. It's
Yeah,
just
70 millimeter ones.
yeah, in the 70 mil, and it's fucking insane. Once he goes and he sees that went with a scene where like it becomes the infrared camera, it's just a technical marvel, and it's just beautiful to look at. And for the most part, there isn't a lot of shots with him outside of the ship other than that, and then like a few times where he does leave, and when we first meet Rocky and he starts to form that like bridge, so that they can walk through. But for the most part, it's taken inside of the ship, and I was completely fine with it. I didn't even notice it until like, so I saw something someone pointed out on like TikTok. It's like we were really even in like space like that. So I was like, oh yeah, that's true. It was really just that like once they got to that planet, and that's pretty much it. And I didn't feel it, and I think that's a good thing to say about the movie, where it's a space movie, but you're not really in space that much. It's mainly from like inside of the spaceship, so you get like the feeling of like the no gravity and stuff like that. And I didn't even like miss it. And I can't say the same thing about other films. Like people were comparing the shit to like Gravity and everything. Like no, sorry, but that's just not it. This though, when you have characters like Ryland Grace, Rocky, and some of the Earth people as well. I saw one of the guys from The Bear. He was one of the agents. I thought he was a cool character that was at the beginning of the film and kind of left afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie overall.
Don't forget the AT&T or T-Mobile girl.
Yeah, with a
Oh yeah,
rough
but
accent.
yeah, yeah. Well, they were
There's
really
a
in
reason
the
why I was
film.
questioning the budget of the film sometimes with the when I saw her in there.
Yeah, no, I think like you said,
It's
it
all
just
right.
having like very few stars that had main roles, in those two being Ryan Gosling and then what's Sarah Hewler? Hewler? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Hewler, something like that. I
Sandra.
mean, that's two
Mhm.
Yeah.
major, I mean, recent Academy Award nominees within the past 2-3 years. They've been nominated for stuff. So I mean, those are two great people to carry a movie for you. Um, and I think both of them did a phenomenal job. I'm somebody who Ryan Gosling is hit or miss for me. It depends on the movie and how they write him. And I think they did a great job of this one, doing a solid. His comedy was hilarious. It wasn't overdone. And so I just thought that definitely for me was a major reason why I enjoyed it. Was just I thought the comedy was great and it was perfectly timed, and I didn't feel it like overdone or anything like that. I think the writing, they did a great job of that.
especially between those two that you're just talking about, their chemistry together was pretty damn good, and definitely made you think towards the end. You know, hey, spoiler if you somehow haven't seen it. At the end, thinking that he would return to Earth to her, and then alluding that no, he stayed with his boy Rocky, and just becoming a teacher there. But I love the chemistry between the two main casts there, of especially her dry humor in the beginning, and then allowing that kind of bromance with Officer Carl. That was pretty
That's what
fun.
his name.
Yeah, the comedy was good, and it's not a surprise the comedy's good. I went into this film, like I said, pretty blind. Other than I went into this, the only thing I know is Ryan Gosling is in this sci-fi film, and the one trailer I saw, and I did not know who directed this. That it was 21 Jump Street, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Those were the directors
Spider-Verse,
of this
yeah.
film. And Spider-Verse, I'm like, it makes a whole lot of sense that the comedy was well timed when you're including those guys. And it's kind of funny that this was the project they got, but it makes you think, though. I know they were supposed to do Han Solo, that movie. Makes you think what that movie could have been, maybe, if they got the full chance for it directing.
Fun fact, they were also in the running to have the Flash movie before all that debacle went down. So that also could have been cool to see, but we didn't get that.
Flash was a pretty good movie already, Alex, so maybe if you watched it, you would have known.
Yeah, Blake. True.
I've seen it.
Anyways, you have seen it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, you were seeing it when I was I remember that.
I was down there. I watched it.
Yeah, it just flashed before my eyes. Yeah. Yes, you were. Yeah, interesting. Anyways, back to Project Hail Mary. I mean, is there really anything else to really say about the movie? It's critically acclaimed. Clearly, we all enjoyed our experience watching the film. The visuals again were, peak. It's funny, and if you haven't seen it already, you probably should, and you should definitely buy a ticket in the biggest screen you can possibly see it in, because this is definitely one of those where you have to just watch it. It's like you get maybe a good 3 to 5 a year, depending on how good the year is, of movies that you just absolutely have to see on the big screen. And I would say this year is the first one to do that for me. It's like this, you have to watch it just to get the full scope and scale and just experience that for sure.
Yeah, but Mario's taking everything over now.
Yeah, I think
so
what
those
really
days
makes
are
it.
Have you seen that? Oh God, that's a rough one. I think it'll be fine.
What I think makes this film work the best is it kind of knew its role. You know, it knows it's not Interstellar. It doesn't have anything where it went too in depth about the ships and what they're trying to actually solve, the science behind it. It also knew it wasn't like Arrival, what they were trying to, hey, he's trying to decode another language. It was really perfectly balanced of this was just an adventure that just took place in space. He's got his little buddy, got this bromance going on. They have a goal to get home, and they achieved it. So it was just, I think that's what made it good, was it knew its place. It knew where to not cross the line to where it kind of just could potentially fail if it tried too hard. And instead you kind of get this just fun comedic adventure. And it is hard to say of what really is bad in this film. I'm even trying to think right now about what did I dislike. I mean, it was just good.
The last thing that I gotta add is I don't know about you guys, but I think the biggest feat that this movie had for me, of course, like the visuals, but the fact that they got me to care about a faceless alien rock thing that you just start to care as like the more you get introduced to the character and the more you learn about his backstory. And by the end of it, where he, spoiler alert, he seems to sacrifice himself for Ryland. It is kind of sad, and I was like, oh shit, is he about to die? Because again, I don't know anything about the book, so I wasn't aware of what the story is or anything. It's like I genuinely could have seen an ending where he did die, or one or the other died, and I was, kind of like sad. It made me feel something. So I was like, damn, that's a feat in itself to get me to care about a faceless alien rock creature. So yeah, that's like the biggest praise that I could say about the movie.
I'll
I
go
guess
in.
I'm on
I'll
my
go in
own.
a little hater mode here. I'm just trying to think of some things that maybe I could think of I didn't like too much, and I would say the Rocky's fake death. Maybe that's the only part in the film I could think maybe just dragged on a tiny bit. Of it was kind of too much of, all right, is he ever actually going to come back? And then he finally does. That's it. I mean, there's it's hard to judge this film for me because I didn't come out of this. I'll say this: I didn't come out of this thinking this was in my top 10, but I came out of this thinking I really liked that movie. And then I'm coming here saying I don't really have too much to say why it wouldn't be in my top 10. Just really liked it.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
that's fair.
it was one of those weird, ambiguous ones.
Yeah, I agree. I think for my negatives of it to say is I did feel the runtime a little bit once he was starting to head home, and then he realized that the astrophage was going to kill Rocky, and he decided to like send them and turn back and go back to Rocky. I felt it a little bit there. I was like, okay, I thought we were getting ready to wrap it up, and then he's like, oh, I got to go turn back, and I was like, a little bit like, okay. I mean, now I'm starting to feel a little bit because I thought, like you said, the Rocky's death scene I thought dragged a little bit, and I was like, also didn't make sense to me that I was like, Rocky was able to break out of his thing, get him out of his chair, drag him all the way over to the, or turn on the like zero gravity, drag Grace all the way onto the thing, and then get himself all the way back into a tube. I was like, that just feels like a whole lot of movement for something that shouldn't be able to survive this climate. That's a long time. So agreed. And then it took for a long time for him to actually come back. So I agree with that. And also, I was a little confused the whole time about how the other astronauts died. And that kind of was like bugging me at points. I was like, oh, we're going to find out like something's wrong with the ship. And then come to find out afterwards that they don't touch on what happened because the author said he's saving it. He didn't touch on it in the book because he was saving it for a sequel. So like for me, I was just a little annoyed watching the movie that I was like, so there's just two dead bodies with him that he just sent out to space without wondering why they died. Like just as a scientific mind for him, I feel like if you wake up and you find two dead bodies, you wouldn't just ship them off into space. You'd be like, what happened to them? Is there poison? Is there gas? Is there something going on? So to me, that was a little bit like, that feels like a major plot point that we're just skipping over that the author decided not to touch on.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where I say it. It's kind of more like comedic adventure form it gets into, of where if this was kind of more towards that serious mystery of like Interstellar, I think I would really die on that hill that you were just talking about. I mean, like, no, I needed to know that. I felt like it kind of alluded, the movie, I think, tried to. It really felt like they alluded to the fact that there was not a guarantee any of them would live through the whole induced coma, and also potentially lose the fact that they forced him early into it. Maybe that's the reason why that he lived. So I think they maybe tried to do it, but I can't speak too much of it because obviously like, this is a book I've not read. But I do think what you said, that is a valid point. I could see getting stuck on that. And it's something that I maybe forced myself to overlook since I was enjoying it.
Yeah, same. It's not like, it's definitely something when you bring it up, it makes sense. Like, wait a minute, why were they dead? But at the same time, I was so invested in like the adventure part of it and just like the chemistry between Rocky and Ryland that I completely overlooked it. So it definitely didn't like affect my score of the movie. And even now, it's like it is what it is to me. But is there anything else that anyone wants to say about the movie, or are we going to wrap this up and give our overall score of the film? Okay, I guess I'll go first. I'm going to give this a solid 8.6 out of 10. So I thought it was a pretty good film.
Like I said, for me, I think it's just out of kind of like that top 10 range. Don't have too much bad to say. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's really good, but I can't explain why it's not higher or lower. Just 9.
That's the exact same thing as Josh. I gave this movie a 9 out of 10. I don't have too much complaints. Like I said, I felt the runtime a little bit, and I just think there are some things, like you said, you can easily skip over because it's a movie. I do think there's a couple things throughout that I'm a little bit like, when you think about it, I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a huge reason to make it as, super low or super high. Just a solid, or I mean, 9 obviously is high, but I'm saying like a low 9, high 9, anything like that. Can't explain it. Just feel like 9 fits.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a shocker. I thought it was going to be one of the higher ones, but the fact that I'm
Well, you
at
would have if there was
8.6,
just a bunch of senseless killing and not really a lot of plot point. Then you would have gave it like a 9. But
that's just crazy.
but I think that's going to do it for this video. As always, let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts were on Project Hail Mary. Like the video, subscribe channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.